I'm Andrew Purves. I'm one of the company directors for William Purves Funeral Directors. We're an independent funeral director company that's based in Scotland, in Edinburgh, and we have branches from the north of Scotland and the northeast, all the way down the east coast of Scotland, down to the northeast of England. Before we moved to SEG, our biggest challenge was that we had multiple offices and we had multiple different accounts with BT. So each of our phone lines seemed to have different accounts with different billing. We had different account names, nothing was joined up together. We were expanding the business fairly rapidly at that time, and that challenge was just getting worse and worse and worse. And so one of the advantages of moving was to bring everything together under one company. At that point we had our landlines with BT, we had our broadband with somebody else, we had our mobiles with somebody else, and it was just really difficult to know what was happening. It was really difficult to know that we were actually getting billed what we were supposed to be billed. And so one of the best things moving to SEG was that we had one bill and we had one person, account manager, to contact, who would just solve all the problems that we needed for landlines, mobiles and broadband.
So I'm Sean Donaldson, I'm the company's IT manager. I started with William Purves about 6 years ago, and that was when we had started the transition to VoIP from the old PSTN lines. The main focus for the business was essentially to make sure we could take calls anywhere. So the first call for the clients are generally over the phone. We do get some walk-ins, but mainly all our business comes in through the phone lines. So that is obviously 100% needs to be up all the time. We've recently done a transition to include Teams in our VoIP setup, so that the funeral directors are able to have that kind of transition between the two. So when they're at the desk, they've got their desk phones and they're able to answer external calls. But when they're out of the office, they then have their Teams phone on their phone so that they can answer the main line as well on the go, which is important for our clients because we try and give clients continuity of service and that they're always dealing with the same person and not a different person every time they phone.
So since moving to SEG, the benefits for us have been that we've been able to have billing across the whole company, but more than that, what's been good has been to be able to have good connectivity between the offices and just have everything joined up. After a few years, we moved to a VoIP solution, and that's been really, really great because it means that it's given us a huge amount of flexibility. It's really important in our industry to be able to answer the telephone all the time. So 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and we can't really have any downtime. And moving to a VoIP solution has meant that we don't rely on one particular branch or a particular person. If a branch is closed or if it loses broadband connectivity or any kind of connectivity at all, we can divert calls wherever we want within the company. Out of hours, when our office is closed, the calls are all diverted, and we've been able to set that up across the company and map that properly, whereas before it was really ad hoc.
So when I started with the company, we still had a lot of the old infrastructure that was left from the BT accounts and things like that, because technology hadn't progressed that much to that point. VoIP was still a very new technology and things like that. We still had a lot of ADSL lines, and one of the big things that I did was transition to fibre to the cabinet, and now we're then looking to do fibre at the premises directly. And for the main offices, like here in Edinburgh and our one in Ashington, and one of the crematoriums we look after, we went with full fibre lease lines, just to make sure that 100% of the time we can answer the phones, because it's ultimately where all the business comes through, and it's essential to our business that these are always running. Yeah, one of the big benefits we've got with VoIP as well recently is the ability to track all the calls and have the call reporting, so that we can see who's answering the calls the most and things like that. Whilst we don't want to put too much onus on people having to answer calls and volume and things like that and KPIs, it's still good that we can then have some sort of oversight on it. They are being answered, they are being dealt with, and then if they're not, we can then put something in place. Because with the old system, we had very little overview of what our calls were doing and how that was managed.
Since we signed up with SEG about 15 years ago, we've been really delighted by the level of service that we've had, particularly when things go wrong. One of the things we've appreciated is that we've had the same account manager for many, many years. Kyle has been our account manager, I think, for around 10 years. And that's been great that we can pick up the phone, we can speak to him. He knows our business, he understands what is important to us. He understands that it's not about price, it's about level of service. That's what's really important. And it's just been great to have that one person to be able to contact. The level of service that we've had from the company in general has been excellent. And when we have had some issues and problems, they've been pretty quick to resolve. Kyle's also been helpful in bringing new ideas to us and helping suggest things that we can improve on and bringing new technologies to us as well.